Alright guys, well, I was gonna do a live stream of this, but apparently my channel, for whatever reason, doesn't meet YouTube's current eligibility requirements for live streaming, so I just said, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna film a regular video. And the reason for doing it the way I'm doing it right now is, as you can probably tell based off the scruff and the slightly longer hair, I'm currently in quarantine right now. Don't worry about me. Last time I took a COVID test, I tested negative, but one of my coworkers, it's kind of a story, but lo and behold, they think I'm an at-risk individual, and I'm in quarantine in a hotel room for about 14 days, and so the reviews I'm going to be giving you over the course of the next 2 weeks are going to be in this sort of format. Now, thankfully, my hotel room does have this curtain here that I can kind of sort of pretend that it's my curtain that I have back in my place, but obviously it's not going to be the same. Probably the gray shirt and the gray curtain are not really going to work well, so I'm going to have to figure that out. Unfortunately, I didn't bring my Aloha shirt with me. But anyway, I'm going to be doing a quick review today of The Old Guard, which is the most recent 2020 movie that I saw, and it came out to Netflix starring Charlize Theron. This movie was really good. The characterization was incredible, and the relationships between all of the characters was really great as well. It was very believable, and I liked the history part of this movie, where basically all the characters are a lot older than you think, and it's kind of a take on a superhero movie that, while it does feel like a superhero movie, it also kind of doesn't. It's kind of like if you took Extraction and mixed it with a superhero film. Now, this film reminds me a lot of Extraction, but there are certain things it does better, and there are certain things it doesn't do as well as Extraction. Now, if you recall from my Extraction review, I said that the best part of that movie was the action in it. And in this movie, yes, the action is good, but it's not as well done as Extraction. It definitely tries to take a page out of Extraction and John Wick's book, and stunt-wise, it succeeds with that. But in terms of the way it's shot, it doesn't really succeed with that. What a lot of people who film movies that have action similar to John Wick don't understand is that, yes, you have to have the stunts and the people who kind of pour their heart and soul into the stunts, but one of the things that makes the stunts almost a character in and of itself in the John Wick franchise is that the camera work is excellent. It's very stylized, and that gives the action almost a characterization of its own. And they did that very well in Extraction, where yes, they had some shaky cam footage and whatnot, but they did it in a way that made sense. And in The Old Guard, that didn't really that didn't really happen with the camera work. The action was great. Charlize Theron, which you could tell based off of her performance in Mad Max Fury Road and in Atomic Blonde, obviously is going to do really well at stunts. She is an incredible actress when it comes to stunts and putting her heart and emotion into the stunts, but the camera work just didn't really do it for me. That being said, the rest of this movie was better than the rest of Extraction. If you recall from my review, I said that the best part of Extraction was the action, and the rest of it kind of fell by the wayside. With this movie, it was a little different. The action, while not bad, wasn't the highlight of this movie like Extraction was, whereas the story, the character development, and the relationships between the characters was. I enjoyed this movie simply just based off of the premise, you know? This new girl who is in the Marine Corps ends up figuring out that she's immortal, just like all the rest of these characters, and she ends up meeting Charlize Theron's character and the rest of their ragtag group of heroes, and it's basically her trying to learn to come to terms with this, all the while kind of learning the interesting story of Charlize Theron's character, and that's what makes it really cool. Now, that is where the rating of this movie kind of gets a little wonky. If you recall from my rating video, I said that my ratings weren't really set in stone, and in terms of a particular order, even though they generally can be placed in the order I said they were. And this is one of the prime examples of it. Because if you recall, I gave Extraction the rating of required viewing simply because of how phenomenal the action was. But this movie, I'm going to rate the usual fare. And while you would think, well, required viewing is higher than the usual fare, generally, yes, that's the case. But in terms of these two movies, that's not exactly the case. Overall, I think The Old Guard is the better movie of the two, even though it got the quote-unquote lower rating. But because of just how phenomenal the action in Extraction is all by itself, that makes that, at least that portion of the movie, more memorable than what is going on in The Old Guard. Hence the reason that while, yes, you could argue required viewing is bigger, is a better rating for a movie than the usual fare, that is why it's not exactly set in stone. Because generally, yes, The Old Guard is the better movie, but I'm going to rate it the usual fare because if this were a movie that came out to theaters, it would be a movie that kind of fell by the wayside. Wouldn't be bad, but it would have kind of fell by the wayside. This was definitely perfect to come out to Netflix because it was on #1 on Netflix for the longest time, and that's because it feels like a Netflix movie, a good Netflix movie, not one of the lower end Netflix movies like Six Underground or something like that. And that kind of saved that film a little bit too. But if this came out to theaters, and again, it wouldn't be a bad film, it just would kind of be just another, it's just another film, another fun, sort of interesting film, but it's just Whereas Extraction, had it come out to theaters, it probably still would have fallen by the wayside itself, but at least the action would have been really cool as well, and people still would have really enjoyed the action. And so because of that, that's where this is a prime example of where my rating system gets a little wonky and why it's more of a descriptive style rating system than a actual sort of ordered rating system. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm sorry again that, I have to kind of do it in this format, but given events that have happened to me recently, this is how it's going to have to be on my channel for a little bit. Anyway, please stay tuned for more videos, and I'm probably going to be finishing my 30-day film challenge videos in this similar format as well. Thank you.